Greetings, Cyclopians. Welcome to Sci-Clops Podcast 27, brought to you by H.P. Lovecraft's The Dreams in the Witch House. And my name is Dan.
And I'm Tom.
And we are going to open the podcast immediately with something that we've been really busy in comic books the last couple of weeks. And especially this week. This is like a major comic podcast this week. I'm going to let Tom take it away.
I got 2 from Marvel and 2 from DC. Marvel has been pumping out new X-Men stuff pretty huge, left, right, front, and center. So I'm going to start off with one of the newer ones they announced, which is Weapon X, #1. Any longtime Wolverine fan knows what Weapon X is, or Deadpool fan knows what Weapon X is. It's the government program that was capturing mutants and experimenting on them for their own uses. Wolverine and various other mutant characters have disassembled Weapon X and Weapon Plus and the stuff it's become over the years, but it looks like Weapon X is back in a big way.
Awesome.
We got a preview of that in the X-Men Gold, or X-Men Prime giant issue, where Deathstrike gets hunted down and captured by a bunch of commandos. And this issue picks up with Wolverine by his lonesome in the woods, and a couple who's lost in the woods asks him for directions, and he tells them where they need to go, and then they turn around to turn to be giant mutant killer cyborgs who come after him to try to kill him. And it forces Wolverine to team up with someone from his past that you really don't think he wants to work with, but he has to because of the circumstances here. And the end of the issue teases several other mutants that the new Weapon X program is going after, Domino and Warpath and Sabretooth too. And this is interesting because I'm not sure when it fits in with the actual continuity of X-Men, because Old Man Logan is a member of the X-Men team, but Wolverine was on like 8 million teams at once at one point, so who knows. But it's definitely like a more gritty, darker version of X-Men, because it's Sabretooth, Wolverine, Domino, Deathstrike, and Warpath, all of whom are X-Men who have no problem killing people if they have to. So this is fun. It was a good setup issue. It has an intriguing plot, and I'm looking forward to see where they go with that. And
it sounds like they're off with a vengeance on the X-Men titles now, too.
Yeah, they're popping up left and right. Next up is Secret Empire #0. It's the kickoff issue to the Secret Empire event, where Steve Rogers is finally revealed as a Hydra agent, and his master plan comes to fruition. And it's great because this whole thing is playing out like a giant chess game that Steve's been moving the pieces carefully into place ever since he's become a Hydra agent. It's really a lot of stuff that's been gone, even in Civil War II and stuff like that. The real ramifications of it come to bear here, and it's finally happened. Steve decides that it's time. I've hidden long enough. It's time for me to take over and this whole thing goes down. And it catches everybody by surprise. No one sees it coming. And there's a couple spots where he comes so close to getting a wrench thrown into his plan. You're like, come on, somebody just realized he's evil now, but it doesn't quite happen. So we've got 8 more issues of Secret Empire to go. And then I believe that Marvel Generations, or Marvel Legacy event happens, which will be the next big thing Marvel runs into. But this was a lot of fun. And it shows you how deep Steve really has gone off the evil guy end here. I
was reading some of the comments online. There's a lot of comic book nerd anger and rage over this thing, going back and forth. People squabbling over the Hydra Captain America thing. A lot of fun to watch.
At this point, minor spoilers here if you're living under a rock.
Minor spoilers, get ready.
It's not like Steve's actually been a Hydra agent this whole time. It's the Cosmic Cube rewrote his history. It's not like the writer's saying, surprise, Steve's been a Nazi this entire time.
He screwed you for the last 30, 40 years.
Longer than that.
60
years. 70, yeah. It's not, they're not saying that. It's the Cosmic Cube rewrote his history. So Steve is, they've said, at the end of this event, Steve will be back to normal. He'll be back to Captain America.
And they admitted it.
Everybody calm down.
No, it's got to be righteous anger about everything. They're nerd related.
All right. So in the other side of the spectrum, DC, we have Superman Action Comics, which is picking up in the aftermath of that Superman Reborn thing, where the pre-New 52 Superman and the New 50 Superman get merged into a single being with a shared history and memories and things like that now. And you knew that when you stick 2 people together, like merge them, like that, there's got to be some kind of ramifications or drawback.
Right.
And it looks like this is the setup issue for that. This storyline is going to be called The New World. And it's basically Superman feeling uneasy about the fact that A, there was another him, and B, somebody behind the scenes who has got some insane level of cosmic power has been manipulating history and, basically reshaping the universe to suit their ends.
Yeah.
And it's a fun little meta drop there where he says if it happened once before, who's to say it hasn't happened countless times. And DC's rebooted their universe a bunch of times. They did Infinite Crisis, Crisis on Infinite Earths, Flashpoint, New 52. So it's a fun little nod to the fact that DC their continuity has been reset a couple times. But yeah, this is it's action light. This is mostly the prologue setup issue with Superman trying to figure out who is powerful enough to have affected the entirety of reality.
Right.
So this is fun. I like that. Which brings me, coincidentally, to my second and last DC issue, which I love the holographic litho cover.
Oh, that's
on
beautiful.
That thing. Yeah.
We
Batman,
won't be able to show you this online because it's a hologram.
Yeah.
Hologram, but it is really cool though. If you get down to the comic store, take a look at this issue.
Apparently, every comic in this storyline is going to be like this. It's Batman 21.
Batman 21,
which is the start of, I guess they're calling it the Button storyline, where it looks like Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen may have been the one who was tinkering with reality and altering things. And at the end of the DC Rebirth's big giant issue, Batman finds the comedian's button that fell off him when he killed him Asmodeus killed him in Watchmen. So now we're really getting, it's been 20 some odd issues later, but we're finally getting into Batman and Flash's investigation of what this button is and how it could have affected their reality. We get a couple cool callbacks to the past here. We have a Flashpoint reference. I won't tell you who, but there's a Flashpoint character who makes a brief cameo appearance here. And so it looks like the Flash and Batman are going to be teaming up. And it makes sense. They're both investigators. Flash is a forensic analyst, in his day job with the police, and Batman's the world's greatest detective.
Yep.
And it's nice to see them kind of put together in a superhero fight capacity as their kind of, their more civilianized identities. So I think this is probably going to span multiple issues across the main Batman title, not Detective Comics, but Batman and Flash. And apparently every comic in the storyline is going to have that sweet lithographic holocover. So I'm really looking forward to that.
And that'll up your resale value considerably down the road, 10 years from now, with that hologram. It's a beautiful cover too. And I've been seeing a lot of reviews about the happy face button. Love the button. So you like this one too?
Oh yeah, it was really good. It's cool. I'm really interested to see how they're going to work the whole Watchmen thing into this.
Yeah, the Watchmen was hot when that came out. Then you really didn't see anything else about it. I thought they might do another Watchmen film or whatever, and it's just gone.
They never did a sequel. Not Zack Snyder. Oh my God, Frank Miller did Watchmen? Yeah,
who did it.
He never did a sequel.
Yeah,
they've done a couple prequel things.
It was just a big one-off, and that.
But
was it.
Is
that it for your comic books?
That's all I've got for my comics.
I'm doing. I'm back into all kinds of comics this week. I had a great time with comics, and my first one I'm going to cover is Barrdok The Wanderer, and it's just fantastic from this from Hackimation Lab by Mike Priebe.
I like that.
And it's a blast. It's Mike. I got a chance to review this thing, and it's a lot of fun. You can look at the cover. It might be unsettling at first because you got a little teddy bear with an axe and a shield.
How is that not awesome?
on top of a pile of skulls. And I got the link to it here. You can see the review I do and everything on here. But it's really cool. And it's, again, here we go into the timeline thing. Tom and I have been talking about this timeline thing. What's the classic storyline for all these big comics is, the timeline. People love the future and the past and the timeline and jumping from dimension to dimension.
Alternate histories and things
Alternate
like that.
history. And I'm not going to give too much away here, but it's a lot of fun. You start out with Barrdok the Wanderer, who is this barbarian. He's a leader of these barbarians in Atlantis, of all places.
Conan.
And everything's going good for his gang until Cthulhu and his buddies show up. And his
Wait, Cthulhu has friends? That's not fair.
Cthulhu and a whole bunch of Shoggoths show up. Now, don't beat me up if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I don't know. It's Shoggoth, whatever. Shoggoth. And so Cthulhu and the gang show up, and there's pretty much an interstellar gang fight here, interdimensional gang fight between these two. And this guy takes Cthulhu on single-handed, and it's great. Cthulhu causes an earthquake, Atlantis starts going down, and now we know how Atlantis goes. And this guy's like, screw it, I'm going down with it, and I'm taking Cthulhu with me. So they start duking it out. I'm not going to give too much away here, but But Cthulhu decides he's had enough and bails through a dimension door with this guy hot on his heels. And what happens is, the reason we get to the bear on the cover is they go into a different timeline. And Cthulhu, the first thing the two of them run into is a little girl holding on to her stuffed bear that she just bought. So Cthulhu gets the body of the girl, and he quick takes off. And the guy accidentally gets sent into this empty vessel, which is the bear. And so he's like, I'm stuck in this bear. So Cthulhu's gone, and then this guy, Barrdok now, this barbarian savage chieftain from Atlantis, is stuck hunting Cthulhu in the form of a little bear. So he grabs the girl's brother as a squire, and off they go. And it goes right from here into steampunk. And so you got barbarians, steampunk,
Cthulhu.
Lovecraft, Cthulhu, and some humor. And it's a blast. It's a great comic. And the illustrations are really good, too. It's like I can't describe the illustrator. I'm not an illustrator, and I'm not an art connoisseur. I can't really tell you what it is, but it looks like almost like a photography type thing. Like they took photos.
Yeah, kind of.
It's really neat the way they did it, and the colors are really cool. So I really enjoy it, and I highly advise. This is number 1, and it's over at it's Barrdok The Wanderer, issue 1 of 5. Mike Preebs, he's only going to do 5 of them, but I think he should go a lot more than this. I think he really should do more.
Well, a lot of guys will do like a 5-issue miniseries, and then if they hit the end of it and they have a good idea, they'll do a second 5-issue miniseries.
If he gets a bite or something. Yeah. And he said that. He said, I've been sitting this. He said he had this thing sitting on the shelf for years, and he got into oh dear, off the top of my head, I apologize, Mike. I think it's production or whatever. He's working out in LA as something, and he decided, I'm going to take this comic book off and dust it and put it out. And so he did, and it's great, and I really enjoy it. And I think you will too if you like comics, especially especially all those elements in the comic, Lovecraft, steampunk.
Incidentally, Cthulhu and Friends sounds like a fun Saturday morning cartoon.
Cthulhu and Friends, great for the kids.
Cartoon Network, get on that.
Cartoon Network, or Funimation. You want to have a Funimation?
Oh thing? God, Funimation would go insane with that.
It would be a blast. A fun animated anime Cthulhu. Someone's got to have done that by now.
Oh yeah.
So then we jump over to Voracious, which, as you know, we're big fans of Voracious here at Sci-Clops. Love Voracious. Got Feeding Time number 5, which is up to actually number 9 of the comic, and they jump into Feeding Time at number 5 of the time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so anyway, we're in the same storyline, but it's just fantastic. I love the art on this thing. Love the illustration. This is Marcus Naso and Jason Muir.
It looks
Forgive
like
me, Jason, if I said that wrong.
The cover looks like a G.I. Joe fighting a dinosaur
like
Iron Man.
It's like a G.I. Joe, and it is. And again, what do we got here? Timeline issues. And I said in the review, and you'll have a link here. You can look at the cover and some of the illustrations, and I got a good review on here that details it. And it's fantastic. It's another timeline mess. And I said it's a timeline issue that would make Barry Allen proud, because these guys have gone and screwed up the timeline. In a quick nutshell, if you haven't been following us with the Voracious thing, this guy he comes back to his small town in the desert because his life has been ruined. I don't want to give too much away, and he's a restaurateur or a chef, and he doesn't know what to do. And he finds out his uncle has left him something in a will, and he's not really sure. And he finds that ultimately it's a time machine, and with the time machine, he gets transported back to the age of the dinosaurs. And he realizes that he can start shooting these things and cutting them up and making dinosaur steaks out of them and open a restaurant.
Which, I mean, when you discover time travel, that's the first thing you think of is, I can use this to create a restaurant.
So he creates a restaurant.
Not go back and stop Hitler.
But, he's about halfway through this, and how many issues in, and his buddies, one of his buddies discovers it, and he says, hey, are you sure that you're in the right timeline doing this? No problem. Nothing can possibly go wrong. We just go back, kill a few dinosaurs. Yeah. But unfortunately, he's messed with somebody else's timeline, so it's a total mess here, and this is the result. So I don't want to give too much away, but it's a great comic. It's dinosaurs, time travel, and a little cooking thrown in, so it's pretty funny. But the illustrations are really good. Storyline's great. It's keeping me turning pages really fast. This should be a movie. This could be a great movie, and it would be a lot of fun. And I don't know if Marcus and Jason,
Netflix series,
yeah, or Hulu. Well,
so
Netflix.
That's the fun. Like when you have a really good comic, and you can do a movie on it, but you really can't touch on too much of a comic in a single movie.
Yeah.
But if you do like a Netflix 13-episode series, I mean, there you go. You got a whole bunch of material to work with.
So we're telling Marcus on and Jason right now, get
Netflix,
get your agent together, shop this thing out to Hollywood, get this thing going. So we love Voracious. We're looking forward to the next issue. Then I jump over to 3 new releases from Scout Comics. Scout Comics is a little indie company, and they've got some stuff. They're just cranking out great comics. These are the guys who put out Infernoct that we covered before, the Lovecraftian horror comic. And they've got 3 more that I looked at. One is, actually, we talked about this one, I think, last episode, Tinkers of the Wasteland, Cool Chickens of the Apocalypse, which was a blast. And there's 2 more, and I've had a chance to read them. I'm sorry, I've been a little behind because I've got a pile of stuff I'm reading through here as fast as I can. The next one is Solar Flare, and Solar Flare is wicked cool. And written by James Haick. Again, James, I do apologize. I'm going to say Hayek. And I apologize if I messed up your name. And illustrated by Branko Jovanic, if I'm saying that right, and colored by Song Yi. And again, you guys don't beat me up on this. I'm not too good with the last names, and I have one of those last names too that's worse than all 3 of you put together. So anyway, it's really cool. And what's Solar Flare? It's an apocalyptic comic with an actual solar flare, a solar flare that's so huge it knocks out all the power to the planet, and basically what would happen. And it's really interesting. It's like a not a Walking Dead type thing, but like let's just say apocalypse. Everything's moving along as it is, and all of a sudden, bang, solar flare, no power, no electronics work.
You mean I can't watch my shows?
You can't watch my shows. Suddenly, none of the iPhones work, and nobody can tweet. All hell breaks loose. And I don't want to say more than that because we're only in issue 1, and it's a big build-up comic. It's really good, and the illustration here is really good too. We go to a more minimalist approach here again, just like Infernoct. I think I was talking about this before. A little bit of a minimalist approach on this, and some heavy dark.
It looks almost like Walking Dead kind of.
Yeah,
the comic.
I was thinking about that too when I look at this cover, and you'll see it. I got the link up. It does look like Walking Dead. You've got a lot of greens and blues and darks and
silhouette, shadowy things.
Yeah. And so it's really cool. It's very dark, very, very dark comic, I'll say that. And then we jump over to a brighter comic, which is Little Guardians. And Little Guardians is written by Ed Cho, illustrated by Lee Chirolis, and colored by Dan Tincher. And this is a more of a fantasy comic, very cartoony, and really bright, really fun illustrations. And it's the day of the Zucchini Festival. And little Subura, I think that's her name, if I'm saying that right, again, she's going to be the star of the comic, and she's working at her father's shop, and there's all these storylines that are going to come together. She's got a couple of lazy brothers who hang out in back and smoke. No, they don't smoke drugs. They're smoking something. I don't know what they're smoking, cigarettes or something. And during the Zucchini Festival, a whole bunch of things began to go wrong. It's almost like magic gone bad, and she's going to be the main character in all this thing, trying to clean everything up. And she's going to encounter a wild animal, and you'll see it on the cover. It looks like it's going to be a black what is that thing? Not a jaguar. A
panther.
Panther. Thank you. God, I don't know my zoo. So
the zoologists are extremely disappointed in you.
But I'm really liking this one too. It's another great one. It's a lot of fun, fast moving, really bright, really cool. And it's what's neat about these comics is you're jumping all over the place in the illustration.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really neat to see how these guys are doing this, and they're all like number ones. And so I'm really excited that I'm actually getting all these comics at the same time. So it's a really great. I'll tell you, is it me? Or are indie comics? Are we like in a minor renaissance of indie comics? I think
they're really good. And like, there's the Penny Dreadful stuff I'm reading from Titan Comics is fantastic. I mean, I guess you really can't consider IDW indie. They've been around for a while, but they're definitely not as big as Marvel or DC. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of really good stuff. Image is fantastic. Image, by and large, I don't think I really read too much by Image that I've ever thought, it's okay.
It just seems like there's a lot of great stuff out all of a sudden. And I'm seeing, and I'm glad to be back into it again. I'd gotten out of comics for a little while because I got, I don't know what it was. I just got out of it. I got no other thing.
It can be fatigue sometimes. There's just so much stuff coming out.
And that was what I think it might have been too, because it was just so many comics I was reading. I just finally gave up. But now I'm back in, and I'm loving it. And it's what's cool is, and it's also odd. Like Tom was saying a while ago on our podcast that it sounded like almost like he was saying he was apologizing for almost sounding like a fanboy. Remember?
Yeah.
He was saying, "Oh, I love all this stuff with the TV. I love this, and I love that, and I love this." But the reality is There's a real lot of good TV out right now. There's a real lot of good movies out right now.
Yeah.
There's a real lot of good comics out right now. This is a really great time to be a geek or a nerd.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're going through a movie renaissance,
Now,
too.
fingers crossed on Alien.
Yeah. And, well, by the way, here we come up on Wednesday. It's in a couple days. Aliens Alien Day. And I wonder what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do.
It's weird because the trailers and stuff have already dropped, unless they announced like a sequel to this one already or
yeah,
something.
I'm kind of scratching my head. Like, you guys kind of like threw everything out there before Alien Day. So I was like, all right, well, we'll see. That's another topic. And we won't get into that till right after. But one last thing I want to cover here is a movie. I had a lot of fun with this movie. It is Hunting Grounds, and it's a blast. It's a Bigfoot horror film, and it's a B flick. It's not tons of money in this thing. It looks like it was made with some cool Bigfoot costumes and stuff, and it's I'm gonna say it's interesting because they have a handful of characters in here, all guys. Very interesting. No girls
Really?
at all. And no complaint. I just there's one shot with a girl that I can think of. It's just some young girl that the main character waves to. And I was, okay. And I was waiting for her to show up again. She never did. I was like, oh, okay. But in short, a father, his son, this father and son team, he's like the worst dad in the world. He's like this bummy dad. And something's happened, and they've lost their house, and they've lost their lives, and they're just a mess. And he's dragging his kid off into the Northwest. A lot of these movies are in the Northwest now. Back with the old X-Files used to film all the time. And the scenery is beautiful.
Like creepy woods and everything.
It's beautiful scenery until you're in it. And it's filled with monsters, okay? So it's like great if you're like flying over it with a drone or an airplane in the middle of the
woods
day.
Never just like nice, relaxing walks.
It's never
always
nice. You're right. You go up the trail, there's always something waiting for you.
Demon lurking in the cave or something.
It's true. It's either aliens, Bigfoots, demons, or something horrible with fangs.
Crazed cannibals.
Crazed cannibals, yes. That was another one. Remember the Pandorica? That was like a bizarre thing. That was another woods one. But a lot of these films are taking place in the woods. And I'm kind of kidding here because I wonder if the same company's doing these. And like they just got
at one location.
Yeah.
Just keep shooting and shooting and shooting.
We bought 100 acres cheap. Man, we're having a field day with this thing. Because if you think about it.
Bring out the killer robots.
Bring out the killer robot. Remember the old Sci-Fi channel? And every movie was in the same warehouse.
Every movie was in the same warehouse or like the same section of woods.
Yep.
But
it worked.
It must have saved them a fortune.
The greatest example of that was Cyborg, which you had a field. It looked like it was all done in, I don't know where it was. I don't want to say South Carolina because it looked like those kind of marshy area down there.
Yeah.
A beat up old warehouse or a old factory, a marsh and
desert for one scene.
I think that was it. Yeah. It was really weird, and they got away with murder on that, and it was fantastic.
Cyborg was awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, Hunting Grounds is a lot of fun. in short, they get somebody leaves them this cabin in the woods, and it's like, oh, this cabin, and they show up and the thing's been trashed, and there's scratches on the walls and there's giant claw marks all over them. Well, we'll stay here and make the best of things. And then the father's two buddies show up, or the buddy shows up who hates the son. And the buddy is like this buffoon, and the guy, all these guys are pretty good actors too. They're fun. The buddy who plays the buffoon, I can't. The stars are Bill Obrist, Jason Vale, D'Angelo Midley, and I apologize again for that one. I'm not really sure on that one if I got the name right. I just wanted to get the other names in here really quick. You've got Bill Obrist, Jason Vale, D'Angelo Midley, David Saucedo. It's David. I think it's David Saucedo. Yeah, it is. He plays David Saucedo, and he's a blast. He plays this like annoying as heck bum friend who gets everybody into trouble, and it's just a lot of fun. And so it's a great little movie. Not hard on the gore, not that detailed, but it's fun. Great beer and pizza movie if you want. A little bit. They get in the cabin. They're bound to run into Bigfoot. They do. It's bad, and they're all duking it out for the rest of the movie. And the poor Bigfoots get their butts kicked on this thing. They don't do anything, and it's because I think the funny thing here. I'm going to give away a little bit here. They're like, well, they stumble across a Bigfoot hunting ground. Well, no, the poor Bigfoots were doing nothing, and everybody keeps pissing them off, and they have to come running down out of the hills and start laying waste to people, and it's hysterical the way this thing goes. But I liked it. It was fun. I recommend it if you got the guys around, you want to hang out and play this thing and sit around and have a good time. So that's my one movie of the week. And what else have we got? Anything? Have we got a short one tonight?
I got a couple things here.
Okay.
TV news. I don't have any new stuff because Legends ended and Arrow and Flash don't come back till later this week. So I've got a little bit of a news thing here, is that Supergirl is apparently going to introduce General Zod.
Awesome.
Which is great, but the one complaint I have about Supergirl here is that now that they've made it, Superman has appeared in season 2. They've always made it clear that Superman was a character.
Yep.
It feels like some of these enemies are popping up that really should be going after Superman are just going after Supergirl. Like General Zod's fought Supergirl before, but always incidentally, like because she was helping Superman.
Yeah.
He's never just straight up gone after Supergirl before.
Zod is like a nemesis of Superman.
Oh yeah, Zod is right up there. Zod hates Superman because his dad locked him away in the Phantom Zone.
Right.
So, I mean, it'd be interesting to see how they play out General Zod in this one. We got to see General Zod a few times, actually, in Smallville, and I thought he was great in that. But it'll be weird to see how they work Zod into Supergirl's kind of story here and give a good maybe he's going after her to get at Superman. I don't know. We'll see. Mm-hmm. Also, X-Files is going to return again as another 10-episode event series, which I actually really liked that last X-Files run.
Speaking of the Northwestern Woods.
So I enjoyed that return they did a while ago.
Yeah, we watched some of that. And it was
we caught that a little bit in
good.
Puerto Rico. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I thought it was actually surprisingly good, considering X-Files have been off the air as long as it had. So it looks like I guess it got well received, and maybe made them enough money that they're going to do it again, because we're getting another 10-episode season out of it.
If they get away with it again, they're really getting struck by lightning 3 times on this, because they got such a winning first time. Then the second one they did okay. Now there's a third attempt at it, and there's still.
Well, the for those of you who haven't seen it, in the later episodes of the 10-episode revival, we meet 2 characters who are kind of like the next Mulder and Scully, and except I believe is it the other? No, yeah. So you have the one FBI agent who wants to believe, and then you got the other one who's a big skeptic. And I said they can, if they really did well enough, they could just kind of spin this X-Files thing off for a new generation with those 2 new characters. So one of them was Robbie Amell, who is anybody who watches any of the DC shows right now will know he was the original Firestorm on Flash.
Okay.
And I forget the actress who played the other FBI agent's name, but I said if they did well, and I thought they had a good enough chemistry that if they brought X-Files back again, they could do not just those 2 characters, but maybe start to phase Mulder and Scully out, and bring those 2 guys to the forefront, and then just maybe keep X-Files going as long as you can.
Start a whole new X-Files, because I think Scully now is tied up with. It depends on how American Gods does. And the weird thing is American Gods I thought was going to be a limited series, but apparently I guess they're going to try to make a whole show of it. That's going to be odd.
Because the book has a pretty definitive ending.
Yeah, I mean it's cut and dried in the book. I mean, there's a beginning, middle and a definite end in that book.
But I mean, hey, we'll see where they go with it.
Maybe they'll go a different direction with an alternate timeline kind of thing,
And the last thing for TV I got is the trailer for Marvel's Cloak and Dagger TV series just dropped. And that's an interesting one. I'm aware of Cloak and Dagger. They made a couple appearances and stuff I'm reading, like Spider-Man and whatever. I've never actually read Cloak and Dagger themselves. But they're a superhero duo, and they fight together, and they've each got their unique power set. Cloak can, I guess, kind of use his the shadows to teleport, and Dagger creates daggers out of light. So the trailer I'm not sure if this is going to be a Netflix thing or if it's on ABC or something, but it definitely gave off that Netflix Marvel vibe, where it's not R-rated, but it's definitely dark and gritty, and it's got there's some real sense of danger in there.
Are they going for adults on this one, or
I don't know? The 2 main protagonists are teenagers,
yeah.
So I would assume maybe teenagers to young adult kind of thing.
Okay.
But the trailer was good. It definitely got me interested enough to watch the series, and I said, I haven't read anything by Cloak and Dagger or specifically Cloak and Dagger before, so I thought the trailer was cool enough to get me interested.
I think we might have talked about this way back in the beginning, the early podcast, because I remember reading about this in the spring when they were talking about putting this thing together.
I think at that point they hadn't cast anybody yet, but they were
getting ready to do it. So now it's ready to go.
Yeah. And I do.
By the way, really quick, I'm seeing a buzz on that Cloak and Dagger too. I'm looking.
It was a good trailer.
A lot of people talking about that Cloak and Dagger. So I'm anticipating if the show's done right, and they all have been pretty much done right. Most of these shows, that this might be another hot one. Most of the shows.
Yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't like.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s going to be pulled.
Really?
Yeah, they're taking it down. Oh. From what I understand, I think we're done.
Yeah, I think
it's on the chopping block.
I think there was a missed opportunity on that one.
Yeah, and it's a darn shame. But I did see a list of shows that were going to the chopping block, and the one in our genre is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I've watched a couple of them, but it never was good enough to get me really into it.
Yeah,
which
is bad.
Yeah.
I always got confused. I was watching at the gym. I was like, "What the heck's going on?" It's always dark. Everybody's in black, and they're all running around. Like, what the heck's going on here? So, anyway, back to you.
The actual last bit of TV news is Star Wars Rebels is going to end with season 4. So it's a little surprising. I mean, Clone Wars went 6 seasons. So I thought Rebels would at least get that kind of mileage out of it. But at the same time, really, there's only so much you can do with that time period.
Right.
And, it's after, it's like right before episode 4. So, I mean, you can't just keep going and going and going and going and going. And which kind of gets me a little nervous because if they're going to end it in season 4, there's 2 characters in the show who are Jedis.
Yeah.
Kanan and Ezra. And you guys are not around in the original trilogy.
You guys better run or you're done.
Yeah, you can.
We just want to tell you guys you're not around after this.
Yeah.
Like you're big time not around after this.
I think Luke would remember running into 2 other Jedi somewhere along the way.
But neither is Ahsoka.
Neither is Ahsoka.
That's the number one character.
Yeah. So that gets me a little nervous for them.
Do you wonder what they're going to do with Thrawn here too?
Thrawn they can get away with letting Thrawn live. Yeah, because Thrawn's just an Imperial officer.
Did you see his book? Is all the way up at like number 1 or 2 on New York Times. It's really, really hot. And people, who do the fans like the most? Ahsoka, Thrawn. Yep. Those 2 are the big ones, and they're like number 1 and 2. And actually, one of the big Hollywood stars is got a campaign going right now to play Ahsoka in a live-action movie. And who is it? I'll tell you. You keep going with that thing, and I'll look it up and tell you who it is.
Well, that's all my TV stuff. Movie-wise, this is fun. Avatars 2, 3, 4, and 5 now have release dates.
Oh, don't get me started on
Avatar 5 apparently will drop sometime around 2025.
Oh, God.
At this point, can we just tell James Cameron to stop?
Stop. Come on, go back
to doing stuff like, that's exactly. Go do Terminator again. No one is looking forward to Avatar.
We interrupt this Avatar beatdown to just report that Rosario Dawson is campaigning.
Okay.
She wants to do a live-action Ahsoka Tano.
Okay.
I wasn't trying to cut you off there, Tom. Avatar makes my teeth grit right now.
It's who
is excited about this?
Have you ever met anyone who you bring up Avatar and they go, man, that movie was awesome.
You know who's doing it is all the big websites. They're all fanboying the heck out of this thing. And this is where we're going to get a little critical here because they're like, oh, Avatar is coming. I'm like, guys, nobody cares.
It was Dances with Wolves in outer space.
Well, I mean, they can come back with, well, it was the only the biggest selling movie of all time. It's like, yeah, because you had
inflated the 3D ticket prices.
It was one. You inflated the 3D ticket prices, and it was cool to watch on the screen.
I said, as a movie, didn't do anything for me. As a visual spectacle, it was mind-blowing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I saw it in 3D, and it was the only movie I've ever seen in 3D where I was like, holy crap, this is awesome.
Yeah, but I honestly do not remember what happened.
I remember there was a lot of fighting at the end.
There were these cute little dragonflies flying around.
The flying things were cool.
But I don't remember
everything had 6 legs. Yeah. That's about it.
And there was blue, a lot of blue.
Yeah, a lot of blue.
A lot of blue. But and we're not just criticizing to be critical. It just
wasn't that good. It was a movie.
There were no action figures. There were no posters. There was no discussion. There were no Avatar fan pages. There was nothing. It was just okay. We're done with that. Like E.T. It was nice, It was one and done. And now they're going to do another 4.
Now they're going to do 4 more.
All right. Well, it's not us to. At least we're not spending. So we'll see. No. Hey, who knows? We don't want anything to do bad because when something really does bad in this genre, it hurts everybody. Yeah. But we're just not excited about it. We would rather see someone with Cameron's talent go into, if nothing else, a brand new story.
Yeah.
Like Voracious.
Yeah, there you go.
Doing Voracious. Or one of the comic books we're talking about.
And speaking of things that might not do well, or that didn't do well, Star Trek 4 of the reboot series looks like it might not be happening because Star Trek Beyond... it didn't tank, but it did significantly under what they had hoped it would do.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think it was like a budget of $160 million, and it only made like $380. Which you sound like, they made $220 million. But
what could you do with $380 million in your pocket?
But when you factor in like advertising costs, I mean, the budget to actually make the movie was $160. but then you have the advertising and the toys and the merchandising and all the crap you had to make on it. So really, it was a lot more than $160 million to make this thing. And
are you getting the sense that Trekkies are getting exhausted?
I don't know if it's just Trekkies, because I don't think the feeling, at least in my consensus, is that diehard real Trekkies don't really like the J.J. Abrams reboot series. Because I know there's a lot of my Trekkie fans are excited about that new show, Star Trek Discovery, which is going to be pretty cool. But I mean, I've always liked Star Trek.
Yeah, I have too.
But I was never it was never my thing. Like I was never really a diehard.
It was when I was a kid, man. I was crazy for Star Trek. You
know? So I've enjoyed the reboot series. I thought Beyond was actually probably my favorite one. It did get a little too actiony, spectacly at points, but I thought it was a fun movie. It was a nice twist on the Star Trek lore, anyway, because it's the reboot.
Right.
So it's kind of a bummer that 4 might not get off the ground because of this.
Yeah, I mean, I would actually make a suggestion. I'm probably going to beat over the head for this one, but I would almost suggest that everybody, all the owners of the Star Trek copyrights and all, back off Star Trek for about 4 or 5 years. Just let it sit for a while, because it seems like we're just trekked out at the moment. They're not sure what direction they're going in.
Because look at Star Wars. Star Wars is all over the place.
But
and Star Wars is doing gangbusters.
That's Star Wars.
But it's the same thing, though. It's a massive franchise. It's got TV show after TV
but it's
show,
done
movie
right.
after movie.
They keep it was done right after the prequels.
Yeah,
the prequels damn near killed it.
Talk about that middle part.
But the prequels, that's what it was. But even the prequels couldn't even kill it. It was so huge.
Even though the prequels still made money, which is insane.
You know, and you can argue with me on this one, because remember Star Trek Discovery, the first one.
No.
I apologize. I said Discovery.
Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
I'm sorry about that. As soon as I said it.
Yeah, that almost killed Star Trek.
And I was like, wow. And I remember coming out of the theater from that one and going, what the heck did I just see here? You know, it was like, what an anticlimax.
Yeah.
Like, they fired a shot. They fired like 4 shots or something. Like, oh. And you were going in expecting an action film, you know. And instead you got the cerebral thing, and everybody was like, what
Which
the
is
heck?
Fine, but...
I love Star Trek. I just don't want to see it. I don't want to see it get ground up into hamburger and then just like you know Star Trek meatloaf. Whatever. You know, I want to see them do a quality Star Trek
meatloaf.
All right, so enough of my complaining.
And also, we finally have a casting for Deadpool 2's Cable. Josh Brolin is going to be Cable, and this is interesting. I mean, Josh Brolin is just recently joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Thanos.
Yep.
And he made an appearance in Guardians of the Galaxy. I think he's going to be in Avengers 2, or he's definitely going to be in Avengers Infinity War. He's going to be the big bad guy.
Yeah.
But this is interesting in that I think that he might be the first guy to cross the streams here and go from Marvel and to Fox. Because I mean, Paul Bettany is the first one to play 2 characters. He played Jarvis in Iron Man first, and now he's playing Vision.
Wow.
So he's played 2 characters in there. But I don't think anybody's gone from Fox to Marvel or Marvel to Fox. And simultaneously. It's not like now he's not Thanos. He's still Thanos.
Right.
And he's Cable. And it makes sense. I mean, the copyrights are owned by 2 different companies. He can appear in 2 different things. It's going to be a little funny, though. I mean, they're going to have to make a Thanos joke when he pops up in Deadpool, too, at some point.
They will. Because they're fun.
They have to.
They always have fun with these.
It's funny, because Josh Brolin isn't somebody I would have... Like, when I thought of who I wanted to see play Cable, he wasn't on the list, not because I don't like him, just because I had a couple other people in my head who I thought would have been perfect for Cable. But after they announced it, Josh Brolin, I think, can play a pretty decent Cable. He's got that gruff, like, piss me off and I'm going to cave your face in look, and, just put him in the gym and get him a little bigger, and there you go.
I think the fans went with it, too. I think they liked it, because remember, we had an impressive list of people who were going to play Cable for a while. There was everybody imaginable. Right up to Schwarzenegger on down, I think. Like, wow.
Dolph Lundgren.
What else have you got here?
Let's see.
Dolph Lundgren. You just said that. Now I'm thinking he's in a movie, or what the heck did I just see him in?
He's in The Expendables.
Yeah, he's in something else right now. I can't remember what it is. He's coming out in another film, and gosh darn it, I can't think of which one it is, so I apologize, listeners.
Last thing I've actually got is a bit of video game stuff. Call of Duty, which has become an annual franchise, which I think is stupid. I think annual franchises really kill video games, unless you're like a sports game or something.
Okay.
But Call of Duty is going to go back to its roots. It's dropping all the futuristic, advanced shenanigans, and it's going back to World War II.
World War II.
And initially I was like, another World War II game? And then I thought about it, I'm like, I really haven't played a World War II game probably in 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
It's been...
Yeah, who's been
Because the last World War II game that Call of Duty did was in 2008.
Yeah, even Battlefield 1.
Well, yeah, World War One.
Yeah.
So it's technically not a World War II game, but it's funny because everybody at one point, everybody and their mother was doing World War II shooters, and I just got so sick of it. I'm like, can we? Which is why when Call of Duty went to Modern Warfare initially, I was like, okay, this is cool. But then it reversed, and now everybody's doing like modern and futuristic and all this crazy stuff, and it's like maybe the pendulum's gonna swing back a little bit here and go back to World War II, because it'll be a refreshing change of pace.
It will.
It'll be a nice switch up from calling in drone strikes and laser guns and
a lot of buzz on this
space.
too, by the way. A lot of chatter online about this thing. Can I throw something out there really quick?
Yeah, that was my last thing.
I am really pumped about a video game. We're going to take a hard left here. N++ Ultimate Edition, and it's a Steam game. And I used to play N+, which is it's a PSP game, a little handheld PSP back about it said to be about 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah. And
it was great. It was one of these little challenges, not a puzzle, but a little guy that you got to get through all these little stick figure guy, and you got to get him through all these little mazes and setups, and it was really cool. And I found it was incredibly hard to play. And now I was just talking about it with somebody. I was like, oh, remember N+? Like, yeah, it was really cool. And then here I come down, I look at the screen, N++ now. I was like, so I'm really pumped on that. The Steam game was $8 the other day, and like a darn fool, I didn't get it. Now it's doubled to $15. So anyway, wait for another Steam sale to come up. But N++ is coming up.
Oh god, the Steam sales.
If you like that kind of thing, I love N++. And Tom, are you all set?
That was actually everything I had this week.
The last thing for me is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I'm still following, which is a blast, and I'm all the way up to the death episode now. And
oh no!
God, it's hysterical. In this area, Abdul is dead. If I said that name right, I can't remember because it's all in with the accents and everything. And so they're down to 4 out of 5, and they're going after. They were just stuck in the desert, and they went after one of the stands in the desert. The Stand, remember, because all these things after Stephen King, and they were fighting Enyaba. There's another one, Enya. And so, and I think it was Enyaba. I think that's the name. And they finally caught her, and they're bringing her to Lord Dio. Lord Dio. Every time I think of Ronnie James Dio with the Hook'em Horns there, or the Horns. The Hook'em Horns is the team, but it's a blast. It's still a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. If you're not watching anything anime right now, you might want to dig into this. Although I will caution you that it's about 98 episodes long, so it's
that's nothing. One Piece is like 600 something.
One Piece, yeah. That's why I didn't get into One Piece yet, because I can't get stuck for a year here. But this thing is pretty good, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. And it's bizarre. It's a bizarre adventure that takes all these weird left turns, and it's very silly at times. Like you can see where the writer is almost like, I don't know how we're going to get out of this, so we'll just get out of it, And he just like takes something and
new rules,
and it's hysterical. And so I really enjoy it. And I just want to tell the listeners, if you're watching JoJo's, comment in there and let us know what you think. And I think that's about it for the
it was a quick one.
We're done. We're gonna be talking about Alien Day big time next week. If anything happens. Because we haven't heard anything. All the big sites are saying, hey, Alien Day is coming. It's kind of like, well, what are you going to do?
What's going on?
The Star Wars Day is on deck after that. So Alien Day is on deck, then Star Wars Day. So that's it. We'll see you very shortly. We'll try to be out within a week with another podcast. In the meanwhile, keep the geek. Have a great week.
Bye, guys.